Welcome everybody to these next set of notes. Make sure that you have paper and pencil out ready to copy everything down in order for you to fully understand this, right? So here we go. Part 1, we always identify the name of these notes, right? And the name of these notes are quadratic functions solved by taking square roots, right? So we're going to solve by taking square roots. We're going to solve quadratic functions by taking square roots. Okay? So a few things that we must see here before we get started is, okay, our solutions are where the graph touches the y-axis. Okay, I'm going to show you that in a couple seconds, what that means. Second ghost here, it says linear has one solution, quadratic has two solutions. Okay. And then our last ghost says solve two solutions by taking square root. Solve for two solutions by taking the square root. So let us take a look here at this graph here. So this is what we call a linear equation, right? When the exponent is 1, the biggest exponent is 1, right? X plus 3, x plus 4, 2x plus 9, right? These are linear equations. Well, quadratic equations where the exponent is 2, this is the graph. It kind of looks like a U or like an open V, right? Like an open V. Like that. So the red is quadratic, right? So the red is quadratic. So let me go back here, make this a little thinner. So this is quadratic. And the blue is linear, right? So linear, if you notice, so the first ghost says where the graph touches the y-axis. So the y-axis in this is right here. Look at that. That's the y-axis. It says it right here. That's the y-axis. So where do our graphs touch the y-axis? So for the linear here, this is the linear, right? It touches right there, right? It touches one time. It touches the y-axis one time. Now, for the quadratic, check it out. Because it's like a U, right? It touches the x-axis. Excuse me. Have I been saying y? It's x. It touches the x-axis 2 times. Look, check it out. 1 and 2. All right. So the quadratic touches the x-axis twice. And it's not a coincidence because that's why the quadratic here is x squared. And the linear is just x, right? To the power of 1. 1 exponent. Exponent of 1 is 1 solution. Exponent of 2, 2 solutions, right? So all of these examples you're going to see here represent a graph. And what we're going to do is we're going to find where these graphs touch the y-axis, right? So the instructions say solve each equation by taking square roots. All right. So remember, our goal is to find x, right? Let us solve for x. We're solving for x. So I have my equation here, so I'm going to write my line of separation here. I'm going to move this plus 12 over as minus 12, not minus 2, minus 12. A negative 39 and a negative 12 are the same sign, so I got to add those two, and I get 51, negative 51. And I still have 2x squared. The opposite of multiplying by 2 is dividing by 2. And I get x squared is equal to, let's see, negative 51 divided by 2. Well, thankfully I have my calculator for that. Negative 51 divided by 2. No, that's not division. Divided by 2. Negative 25.5. All right. Negative 25.5. And the opposite of a square is a square root. So I'm going to cross that out, and I'm going to square root on this side. So I get x is equal to, wait a minute, there's a problem. You see this negative here? There's no square root of a negative number, because square root means two numbers that multiply to give us this guy. And the negative times the negative is a positive. Negative times negative is equal to a positive. Positive times positive also equals to a positive. There's no way there are two numbers that give us negative 25.5. So this is no good. So there is nothing here, right? There is nothing. So this is no solution. No solution. You cannot have a negative inside the square root and come out with a regular number, right? Come out with a whole number or even a decimal, right? So this is no solution. Okay. So let's take a look at this example. Hopefully this example here in the middle will give us a solution. So let us draw a line of separation here. I'm going to move negative 11 over as plus 11. So I'm going to get 11x squared, right, equals 1089 plus 11 is 1100. The opposite of multiplying by 11 is dividing by 11. So I get x squared. 1100 divided by 11 is 100. The opposite of squaring is square rooting. And I get x is equal to, what is the square root of 100? Well, if I'm not sure, I do square root button right here of 110. Now, let me show you here. Whenever I square root something here, I'm going to get two answers. So I'm going to get positive 10 and I'm going to get negative 10. Because technically, right, I'm going to do it here on the side. Negative 10 times negative 10 is equal to 100. Negative times negative is positive. 10 times 10 is equal to 100. Positive times positive is positive, right? So both of these could be answers. That's why I put x is equal to 10 and negative 10, right? And that, kiddos, is our solution. X is equal to 10 and negative 10. And we got two solutions, right? So this equation here represents a graph. Remember, the quadratic equation looks like a U here, right? So for this equation, when we graph, this is going to be negative 10 here, and this is going to be positive 10 here on the x-axis. X right here. We have found our x-axis. 10 and negative 10. Perfect. All right. Same. Let us draw our line of separation here. Change colors. Opposite of minus 5 is plus 5. I get 10x squared. 485 plus 5 is 490. The opposite of multiplying by 10 is dividing by 10. So I get x squared, and I get 49 here, just like that. The opposite of squaring is square rooting. So I get x is equal to, the square root of 49 is 7. But remember, this is 7 and negative 7. Those are my two solutions. I need to include the negative as well. Because remember, like I said, our solution here, when we graph it, right, it's going to look like this. And it's going to pass the x-axis one time. Oops. It's going to touch the axis one time and two times. And this represents -7, and this represents +7. That's why we got to do both solutions, +7 and -7. Okay? And that right there, kiddos, is our lesson. That's how we solve by taking square roots, right? So make sure that you have written everything down. And in order for you to have understood it, rewind if you have to in order for you to understand, and take notes very precisely. All right? Thank you guys for being here. See you next time.